Hey Rick, good
Hey,
morning.
good morning, Mark.
Welcome to the side dish. I want to just briefly introduce that new name for what we're doing. And there's a reason. We've got some really diehard fans of the Cafe Bee. But I brought back the Age to Perfection podcast for LGBTSR.org, all this other stuff. It's too long of a backstory. But I just want to do one podcast, and I got us onto iTunes. That was a part of this decision too. Age to Perfection with LGBTSR. You can find it on iTunes. Just search for it. I'm also on Blueberry, or just go to the website. But I'm like, I just want one podcast, and then whatever editions of that. Like I'm starting to repost my sister's health podcasts, Health Listens with Kathy, and it's just like, it's all going to be under Age to Perfection, that podcast.
I
So
like you.
that's why we're.
I like you, but
Well, I
I
know you
like it.
like me. I thought you
I
loved.
like it. I
I
like
thought
the
you
idea.
loved me.
I do, but I really love the idea.
By the
So
way,
welcome. Good morning, everyone.
welcome everybody. And by on the quickly on the subject of liking, it just occurred to me, and I put it out there this morning on the Facebook. I'm surprised we have not replaced the phrase "I need a hug" with "I need a like."
Oh my God, likes everywhere. You're right.
Because I go onto Facebook and I post stuff, and nobody likes it, and I feel like nobody. I need a like, man.
Oh,
Come
I
on,
like that. I like
somebody
that.
please like something that I put up there.
And please like it with capital L I capital K E. Why is everything capitals with the word like? You can't just say like.
Right? LOL.
The bell is still in play. Go ahead, Mark.
Are
What's
we
going on in
starting?
your world?
Let me have a
Yes.
sip of coffee from my Maine cup. One of my
Okay.
favorite cruises went to Canada and Maine.
I have one here from Ralph and Kaku's. If anyone's down in New Orleans, or I can't even show you yet, down here in the South where we eat this food. Let's talk about the South, Mark. Everything happening in Dallas. I mean, this Ebola stuff, reminiscent of the early days of AIDS, is what it reminds me of. As a matter of fact, I've been reading a lot about it for a long time. I've been ignoring it because I don't like the image of the Ebola. It looks like the river, that they've been using in all the posting and stories and images about it. And then I got deep this week because I came home to Dallas, which is only 3 hours from me. And I have a lot of friends yesterday that flew into Dallas for, in their travels and drove to Shreveport. And of course, it's a buzz nationally and internationally, but it's a big buzz here locally because it's so close. The family being quarantined and moved to another house of the gentleman that was discovered. They went down from 100 suspects that have been touched by the gentleman in Dallas down to 50 yesterday, but four of them are intensely isolated. Images of hazmat, all of that. And I've been reading because there's obviously, they both come from Africa. They're both diseases that were carried in monkeys. There's a common protein, which is the way it goes through your body. But for those of us that were devastated by the pandemic of AIDS, you and I both lost partners and many, many friends, 20 friends in 1 year for me. I can't help but draw the comparison and try to figure it all out and what it means. But nonetheless, our hearts and thoughts are out to people. We have to keep it in terms of not freaking out and running greatly into fear. But nonetheless, something's on the horizon, I have to say. And to be knowledgeable about it, I think is a very important thing.
It is, although I don't think it's at this state of its mutation that it's a serious threat in the United States because we really are able to deal with these things very up to date. So I'm not worried about it. Although I think someday, eventually, there's going to be an Ebola-like virus that mutates and is spread through by sneezing. Like
Oh man.
through the air, and then it's just a matter of time. We're trying to keep these to 2 minutes, but I think this planet at some point is going to say, you know what? I'm not going to die for a bunch of humans, for 9 billion humans, so I'm just going to kill half of you.
Yeah, that's interesting, Mark.
I think that something's going to come. The planet at some point is going to fight back, and if it's a virus that kills half of us, then that's what's going to happen. But
Very interesting. And of course, you drew the comparison to Obama and Ebola, the
oh
B,
yeah, there's a bee, man. Really, seriously, it's my topic.
the letter count.
I I can't be the only person. I'm sure Fox News has noticed that there's a bee in Obama and a bee in Ebola,
I know, and
and
you're going to hear about it.
I'm connecting the dots. I don't know if anybody else is, but
All right.
Obamacare just had its 1 year anniversary of the rollout, which was disaster.
Happy birthday.
Right, it was a disastrous rollout, but I have read, outside of the bubbles, you know, honest statistics and charts and all of that, and it's really accomplishing what it was supposed to, with millions more people insured, and rates are coming down, and it's doing what it was intended to do. But its opponents hate it because they hate Barack Obama, and it's just sad to me. It's just so sad because I've had issues with the law because of the marriage penalty and all of this stuff. I'll never get a subsidy because I'm married now. But I do have friends and family members who now finally have insurance that they can afford, and for that reason, I'm very thankful for the law, and I wish it success. I'm sure they're going to attack it, especially if the GOP takes the Senate. But good luck throwing 17 million people off insurance, man. Have fun trying that.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not going to
interesting.
work.
The opposite backlash could be worse than the original backlash of it, you know?
Right.
Interesting. It's interesting too, of course, and now Obama's going this whole thing with letting the head of the Secret Service go and bringing someone in. At least I haven't faulted him with that. But yeah, interesting. Sebelius out because of all the uproar when she was Secretary of Health. But yeah, happy birthday.
We
Hey,
both got bells.
we both got bells because
We've
we can
got
cut each other off. Great story happened out by you, played out this week. Those two young ladies that came down from Nova Scotia or Newfoundland or somewhere in Canada. They came with the intention to propose. The one was going to propose to the other. Her name was Mal. She was proposing to her girlfriend Olivia down in New York. Do you see this story? It was all over the Post.
I did not see it.
It's a great story. Let me tell you it real quick, everyone. It's a great story. They came down with two other friends of theirs, two other girlfriends. And the idea was they came in on Friday. Saturday morning, they were driving down to the Brooklyn Bridge where the one was going to propose. Mal was going to propose to Olivia. Well, they walked by this graffiti wall in the park, Dumbo Brooklyn Park or somewhere down there. And she's like, wow, this would be a great place to take a picture, you know, for an engagement picture, not knowing what was going on. They get to the bridge, and I guess apparently, you may know this, Mark, but people bring locks and they write their names on these locks, like padlocks, and they
Really?
attach them to the bridge to show their love.
Never heard of it. I got it.
I
We got to
think
do. Frank and I got to do that.
I know you should, and so they had it all painted, and it was in her the girlfriend, the friends, the two friends, lady friends purse, and they pulled it out, and Mel said, "Wait a minute, I've got a different one," and she pulls out from her purse one attached with a diamond ring, and the gal Olivia is like, "Oh my God, you're going to propose to me." Well, Mal got all nervous, open up the lock. Of course, you're on the Brooklyn Bridge. The ring falls through, falls into the little crack. You know, all four ladies down on their knees trying to get it out. One of them pushes it by mistake. It falls, you know, way below on another rack. Well, what the great story here is there was two police officers appropriately named DeFazio and Manley. They come to the rescue. They stop traffic. They get the ring. They bring it back to the gals. One blogged all about it. I think it was Olivia blogged all about it. They were late in getting to the restaurant. Well, they took a picture by that wall on their way out. You know, they were late in getting to this restaurant where they wanted to go and do champagne. And the restaurant stayed open and bought them a bottle of champagne. It's a great little blog story that kind of blew up the the cyber world yesterday. But it's a great, great story. The message to them was, you know, hey, we're integrated in the community. You know, we're not just these odd lesbians that decided to get married on a bridge or propose on a bridge.
Or sue a sperm bank for having a black baby.
Oh God, that's going on too.
That's another story. Now you said one of them's name was Mal.
Mal, like probably Mallory.
Well, I was going to say if the other's last name was Ware and they got married, she could be Malware. You know what malware is?
Yes, I do.
Okay, all right. The other story, by the way, which we won't go into, it was just this Caucasian lesbian couple.
Oh God, that
And
was funny.
the sperm bank, they got the wrong sperm. So, anyways, that was a whole another ball of stuff. Um, yes. Oh yeah, Facebook. Speaking of nothing, Facebook is
Speaking of lesbians, I don't know where you're headed with
drag
this, but
queens.
there you go. Close
Yeah,
enough. All in the family.
Facebook started like kicking off all these drag queens from. I hope they weren't just doing it to drag queens because, first of all, it's always annoyed me that on Facebook you're supposed to use your real name. I have an issue with the term real name. I don't like it. To me, Jay-Z's, whatever. If you're a performer, I hate it when they'll in the news, some news thing, they'll say, whatever Snoop's real name.
Yeah. Who cares?
Legal
Yeah, good
name.
point.
I like the legal name. Okay, birth name. Okay, but real name. What is there such a thing as an unreal name? My name is
That's
whatever I
interesting.
make it. So, anyways, Facebook started kicking off all these drag queens, and they fought back just like they did at Stonewall. Now you know that the real instigators of the Stonewall riots were the drag queens
Yeah, I remember. Oh, they're always the vocal.
and the
I love it.
transgender folks. It wasn't the white gay men. It was not them. Anyways, the drag queens took them to the shed, man, and they backed down, and good for them.
And a big apology. I mean, they made a public apology. Facebook did.
We should all be able to use. I mean, because and then I'll shut up. I've always been suspicious of this. You must use your legal name. Twitter doesn't do that. Facebook does it. Google does it, and it's about your data. They don't care. They're not trying to just get you to be transparent and authentic. They want your fucking information.
Yeah.
So if I'm on there as Upsadoodle McNoodle,
McNoodle.
they can't,
McNoodle.
they can't sell that information to anybody, but they can sell Mark McNeese's information, and they do.
It's interesting.
They do.
I read a
That's
study.
what it's about.
It is. It's an interesting study they came out with too. They can tell by your post if you're having an argument with your partner, because they say when you're posting really nice things about your partner, is usually a psychological study came out this week on Facebook. It usually means that you're having trouble with them. And they say, because of the algorithm, they can really follow your relationship if it's good or bad.
And then they can
But
give
I have
you,
a question.
they
What?
give you, and then you can see ads in your news feed for
Yeah.
relationship counselors,
Marriage counseling, buy a diamond ring. Hey, I got one for you. What was your first pet's name when you were a kid?
Did you? Where'd you?
You know
get
where I'm
this?
headed with this.
No, but that's my security question. I'm not telling you that.
Well, now you didn't have to tell everyone that, and it wouldn't be
No,
anymore.
I'm not telling you.
What was your fifth pet's name? What was your first cat's name in LA?
Janice, after Janis Joplin. Really?
Oh, of course. Yeah, the stamps are out. They're great. And what was the first street you remember living on? You know where I'm headed with this.
Marion Street. Okay, go on.
Okay, Janice Marion's your drag name. Remember? Mine's Dusty Division.
Janice
So
Marion.
there.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, it's like your pirate name. Arg. Hey, you got another one. I want you to jump into it, and then I'll end with mine. But cartoons, speaking lightheartedly,
Yeah.
you informed me of this. I didn't know this was happening.
Well, this was just a bummer. There will be no more Saturday morning cartoons. CW. I don't even know what that stands for, but it's the channel CW.
It was after Warner. It's a Warner Brothers channel, so I forget what
They
it
were
was.
they were the last ones to have regular Saturday morning cartoons on. They are ending that, so there will be no more Saturday morning cartoons. Made me sad because I was an Archie's guy, I was Spider-Man, I was all that stuff when I was a kid, and especially Johnny Quest. I know I'm not the only
Oh man,
kid. When I was a kid, he had two dads. And
they weren't like race either.
they were biracial and shit. And this was 40 years ago, I mean, I'm serious. When I was a little kid, there was some part of me that said, "Oh my God, he's got two dads."
And then you were looking at Batman and fantasizing about Batman. I know.
Well, and
I know what it was all like.
Riddler used to wear those little green tights, but that
Did you like that?
That was on the live TV show. Of course, I liked it. I knew what was going on when I was very, very young. I didn't know what to call it, but I knew.
Yeah, well, we've talked about this. You're right. And you know what's interesting? Yeah, mine was Scooby-Doo. Mine was Roadrunner. Recently did a piece of art at the job I have that pays my rent. Well, this month it didn't. I'm late in my rent, and then I have a $25 fee and a $10 fee. Please help the poor. Let's start an Indiegogo campaign for Rick Rose.
We got to do an Indiegogo, man. They're doing it for every stupid thing now.
We got to bring back the cartoons. Well, anyway, we did a piece of art with Roadrunner, and it brought back such memories in our office to the non-millennials in the office that really understood what it was like to get a bowl of Fruity Pebbles, turn on the TV before your parents woke up at 6:30, and watch a cartoon. So,
we're hitting the 20 minutes. Go.
R.I.P. I got one anyway about Grinder Art. You and I were going to interview this guy, and I still think you should. The guy who's Russian, who's doing that artwork, he's in the middle of it. Well, it's more of a performance art. 365 days of 365 fucks with people he meets on Grinder hookups. It's really interesting. Now, another guy that lives over in Germany, actually, who's from the Netherlands, is doing it in Brooklyn Park. Did you see this? He's building a glass house.
I saw it, but he's like live streaming the people he meets.
That's right. He's using Grindr as a means. The first one is to show how loneliness has transmuted into this way of, sex, and he's kind of following how that means. But this guy is using like 3 or 4 different smartphones in there. He will broadcast on a website, but also stream it on the website, but also have big screens around him in this park in the glass house, where he's going to lure people to come and do more than stick their fist up his butt. That's what he said. He said, Grindr can be more than sticking, asking someone to do that. And why we as a group have stripped ourselves of abilities to invite people over to play chess or watch movies. And we've just taken everything to the profanely, profoundly, insanely sexual realm. So interesting. I got to find the website. I'd like to see it. But Grindr put out a notice just real quick and said, please flag his posting because Grinder is what it is, and we can't use him to lure people. Although they were fuzzing out the face and all. But did you ever think we'd live in a day where we would use a gay app as a means of art? I don't understand, but so it
Well,
is.
I don't know. I don't know if we're even talking about the same guy, but this one was going to live stream the people he met, which I thought was highly unethical. I don't really know enough. I didn't read enough about it. By the way, my vision's bad. We're only at the 15-minute mark. We got a couple more
Oh, that's
minutes.
okay. Well, that's okay. No, that's all I got for today. I mean,
But I have a question though now because now we're in iTunes and each podcast I can flag as explicit or not.
yeah,
So
you've been
are,
debating
yeah,
if
but
it
are
should
we?
be or not.
No, the podcast itself. I don't want to bore people with that, but I was mistaken. The podcast itself is not explicit, but I can flag individual episodes as explicit. And once you said something about a fist going somewhere, is this now explicit? Do I have to mark this as explicit now, Rick?
Because we're talking about fist fucking. now,
Okay,
now you
no.
have to.
I do because if somebody's
Oh,
mom,
Mark,
this,
I'm
this
so
happened to me
sorry.
with my books on. No, I'm fine doing it, but I'm going to mark this one as explicit. I probably all of our dishes are because side dishes because we're just explicit people. But I got crapped on Amazon by some unsuspecting person.
Yeah, we talked about that in a former podcast. I
Yeah.
mean, you're right. I mean, people are so sensitive, but so what? They go, they see it, they don't like it, they don't come back. Why do we have to warn them? I mean, when I go to buy albums on iTunes, I don't care if it says
No, but
explicit or not. Usually there's two.
this is a different thing than the Amazon book. Just so people know, I have a gay mystery series out. I gave a bunch of copies away on ebooks, and some people didn't realize it was a gay mystery. So a couple of them went onto Amazon and gave it the 1 star, so they could just write, there are homosexuals in this book, like, whatever. But with a podcast, I really don't want somebody reporting it. That's a different story.
Okay, you're right. I take back my
So
comments.
we're fine. But this show is explicit. Let's just decide that.
No, but don't make everyone. I think we have to listen to it. And if it's whatever you want to do, it's
Okay.
explicit.
I think you and I should have the freedom to be explicit. I don't care if anybody over the age of 18 sees a little explicit label and goes, thinks they're going to be rattled. It's like, don't listen to it.
That's a good point. Well, I'd like people's feedback. If you're interested, let us know if you think we're being explicit. Please tell us why. Everyone's definition is different, but for real, if you'd like. Mark, I just itched myself by biting my arm and realized we're on YouTube. It's very barbaric.
It is
Because I couldn't use my
But
hand.
I like your haircut, by the way, and I know you got it at a military barbershop. So
I did. Yes, because
You're
I
thinking of joining up.
I'm gonna wait till I'm 50. So I don't think they'll take me at 50, will they?
No, lucky you. Lucky you.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for coming to the Side Dish. That's our name now, Side Dish with Mark and Rick, as on Age to Perfection, YouTube and iTunes.
Yeah, and I'm gonna call you right after we hang up here because I got some, off,
some private
off.
stuff.
What do you call that?
Offline.
Off.
Take it
yeah.
offline.
That.
Okay.
Okay. See
Bye.
y'all. Bye.